Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Lieutenant General Sukhdeep Sangwan, AVSM, SM and BAR, Director General Assam Rifles, I welcome you to the joint Assam Rifles United Service Institution of India Annual Seminar 2021 on the topic Unravelling Haze that Obscures Northeast's Potential for Acting East. I request Major General B.K. Sharma, AVSM, SM and BAR, retired, Director, USI of India, to start today's proceedings by delivering the welcome address and curtain raiser for the inaugural joint seminar by Assam Rifles and USI of India.
Journal Naravane, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, ADC, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Sukhdeep Sangwan, AVSM, SM and BAR, DG Assam Rifles, distinguished panelists, audience, media, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you for this joint seminar. I thank the Chief of Army Staff for sparing his valuable time to share his vision and his thoughts on the occasion. The keynote address of the Chief is particularly special since he has developed a wealth of practical wisdom and deep insight by virtue of having tenanted very prestigious diplomatic, staff, and command assignments before he assumed the mantle of the Army Chief. My gratitude to DG Assam Rifles for making the USI a co-host for this prestigious event. We are also grateful to our Chief for agreeing to release the commemorative issue of the USI Journal published to mark the 150th anniversary of USI raising. You would be happy to know that USI and DG Assam Rifles have signed a memorandum of understanding to research, publish literature, initiate informed debates on the matters of national security with focus on the dynamics of Northeastern region. During last 1 year, we had organized Assam Rifles Martyrs Memorial Lecture, during which the previous Chief of Army Staff, General Bikram Singh, was a keynote speaker. We have also allotted a chair of excellence, which is funded by Assam Rifles, to Shri Jitish Khosla, the former Chief Secretary of Assam, and he's writing a book on the theme Comprehensive Development of the Northeast, a Window to India's Act East Policy. The USI has offered life membership to the Assam Rifles unit and officers, and among other benefits that they would accrue, their officers would be able to participate in the 3 essay competitions which have been instituted by the USI. Besides, we are planning to conduct customized training capsules for Assam Rifle officers to promote their general knowledge, their awareness about national security issues. And today's event is actually part of our scheduled annual calendar. Now, the importance of Northeast India's strategic calculus and its role in the advancement of India's much touted Act East policy needs no emphasis. The well-being of people of India is India's foremost national interest, and this is predicated on comprehensive national development. And for that, we need a conducive internal and external security environment. We are living in a post-COVID pandemic world that is characterized by volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and complexity. And therefore, these times demand sophisticated statecraft to navigate the nation through a very turbulent geopolitical milieu and to steer the strategic destiny of India for a better future in the comity of nations. India ought to be a force of peace and stability, an anchor of regional economic integration, a soft power hub, and a net security provider. India's strategic direction is guided by epithets coined by our Honorable Prime Minister, like Nara, that is national ambition and regional aspiration, or Sagar, that is growth, security, and growth for all in the region, coupled with other policy pronouncements such as Neighborhood First policy, Look West policy, Connect Eurasia policy, and Free and Open Indo-Pacific region. All these policies are envisioned under the rubric of India's multi-vector alignment foreign policy that seeks balanced relations with other contesting great powers. A horizon scan of our near abroad reveals that the ensuing geopolitical developments are causing certain headwinds as far as our outreach to Eurasia are concerned. This is due to our vexed relations with Pakistan and the other geopolitical alignments that are taking shape in the region. Therefore, the success of India's Act East policy and strategic forays into the Indo-Pacific become dominant strategic imperatives for India. Geostrategically, Northeast region presents India with all the attributes of Macander's heartland, Skypeman's rimland, power, and Mahan's maritime power. The region is our gateway to our civilizational neighbors and strategic partners in South Asia, Indo-Pacific, and democracies of the Western world. Therefore, Northeast is the flank of strategic maneuver for India to expand its influence and project its smart power. Success of India's Act East policy is critical for India's transition from a balancing power to a leading power in the larger calculus of ASEAN, Quad, and Euro-Atlantic alignments. This strategic posture is key to balance an assertive and revisionist China. The success of all prongs of India's Act East policy, be it connectivity, commerce, culture, and security, fundamentally depends on the security and development of Northeastern region and its transformation as a regional strategic hub. However, to achieve our strategic objectives, we need to mitigate emerging challenges and seize or capitalize the opportunities. The internal security environment of the region is inextricably linked with the external security environment and is manifest in the gray zone and hybrid conflicts. Nagaland issue and Manipur insurgency persist. These, in combination with other socio-political strifes, impact our diplomatic relations with the host of neighboring countries. Recent developments in Myanmar have complicated strategic environment for India and pose policy dilemmas for India. How to deal with the Arakan Army's threat to multimodal Kaladan project merits some thought. However, the big elephant in the room is China, that has shown propensity to use its military muscle and change the status quo at the border. As also, it has the potential to stoke the simmering insurgencies in the Northeast. China has enticed most of the neighboring countries in its Belt and Road Initiative. In fact, the developments which are taking place in regard to China-Nepal Economic Corridor, China-Myanmar Economic Corridor, and about 23 critical infrastructure projects in the Indian Ocean region are extremely important to have impact on the balance of power in the Indian Ocean region. If we are not able to balance these initiatives of China, then the balance of power in the region will shift in China's favor at the cost of India's influence. Therefore, comprehensive security and development of Northeast and smart border management, security of Siliguri corridor on one hand, and implementation of initiatives such as BBIN, BIMSTEC, IORA, IONS are critical to enhance India's influence in the region and consolidate its position as a preeminent regional power. Our engagement with the region should be Northeast owned, Northeast led, and Northeast controlled. We need to have an objective analysis of regional aspirations, concerns, hopes, and expectations. Critically analyze causes for slow development of the region and inadequate emotional integration of the people with rest of India. Boosting of domestic economy, its linkages with the national economy and markets of the neighboring states needs an entrepreneurial innovation. The lack of adequate infrastructure development has an adverse effect on achieving an effective deterrence posture against China and dealing with other gray zone and hybrid conflicts. Therefore, infrastructure projects must be conceived and implemented from the perspective of enhancing India's strategic and military security capabilities. We have a number of opportunities staring us in the face. It is heartening to know that India's Act East policy has brought renewed focus to the region. Work on multimodal transportation projects has gained momentum, be it Trans-Brahmaputra Corridor, East-West Corridors, Trans-Arunachal Pradesh connectivity, bridging of Brahmaputra River, railway connectivity to various states, development of smart cities, and creation of industrial zones, and hopefully in time to come to have a South Asia free trade area with region being the focus. The prospects of operationalization of integrated waterways, Kaladan multimodal projects, and operationalization of India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral is showing promise. Northeast also holds a great potential to harness cultural, heritage, and medical tourism potential, lure students from the neighboring countries for higher education in the region. Collaboration on border management and for combating non-traditional threats are other low-hanging fruits for regional cooperation. Finally, I would like to reiterate that security and development of Northeast should be coterminous and need to be seen as a homogeneous whole. The tendency to paint the entire Northeast region with one brush may prove counterproductive. We need to have customized development and security models for different ethno-regional entities and varying nature of low-intensity conflicts, albeit under an overarching umbrella organization that not only heeds respective characteristics and aspirations, but at the same time provides that necessary glue for promoting the spirit of nationalism and national security. Assam Rifles have a proven reputation of being the sentinels of the Northeast. The organization is endowed with nuanced understanding of regional security, socio-political, and security dynamics. They enjoy people's respect and trust. Therefore, they should be mandated to play a stellar role in the national mission of regional transformation, spotting and nurturing of local talent, fostering emotional integration, and propagating an appealing national narrative. I'm sanguine this seminar will prove useful in the cross-fertilization of ideas to develop better understanding of the regional dynamics. Without further ado, may I now request DG Assam Rifles to give his special address. Thank you very much.
Very pleasant good morning to each of the members present in this auditorium. And my gratitude to the speakers who have braved the challenges of COVID to be amongst us today morning, to give legitimacy to a claim of going through a fighting breakout, which we call in army, and again start the life as it used to be before the COVID dynamics. I also take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude to some of the veterans who are not only our mentors at some stage in life, but also our role models. And may I take the liberty of saying, with the arrogance of a military leader, to seek your permission, sir, rather, sirs, to allow us as the right to harness your experience, your energy, your capabilities, what you've gained all these years, utilized by the younger generation through the medium of such seminars, such discussions and lecturings. Thank you, each one of you. And let me also express the gratitude to the USI of India, who last year when we signed this agreement or MOU with them, they helped us to stoke the fire. Stoke the fire, I insist, because today is the generation which is losing out this edge of going into the literary forays, which is quintessentially a prerequisite for any military leader to rise and think strategically. Grateful to the USI and the entire team for giving us this opportunity. May I also express a deep gratitude to our own Chief of the Army Staff for any event of this magnitude or this dimension. Chief himself, if he is present, I think the legitimacy to such kind of event is given out. And for us, as the family of Assam Rifles, we take pride in treating our chief special to Assam Rifles, he having seen the life which the Assam Rifles soldier leads, he having commanded these troops in difficult times, he having steered them as army commander in the Northeast. He now as chief knows very well what Assam Rifle means, and is giving us that platform to be with you and before you to discuss such kind of discussions. With this little background, I now come to the presentation as a special address, even before the whispers start in this hall, of conclusion slide having come before the introduction slide. There's a meaning for that. It is deliberately brought in because we need to know what are the takeaways for this from this discussion or this seminar. When we have such eminent speakers here, what are we looking at? And what are the takeaways? If we are very clear about the takeaways, what is going to be the conclusion, then only we'll know whether we had firmed in our aim or the topic absolutely right the way we wanted. We need to find out today that is Assam Rifles the right force or the right agency? Is Assam Rifles the organization which will make the government realize its Act East dream? Is USI the right think tank or right forum to collaborate with the Assam Rifles and bring Northeast here into the corridors of power in Delhi? Is this the platform or the think tank which will give policy options to the government? Together, can USI and Assam Rifles, can we demystify Northeast? Can we let this be known to this country that Northeast is the fulcrum for acting East? It is the fulcrum for India to be seen as an emerging power in the region. It is the Northeast where we have to realize the real potential and we have to harness this and invest in future. We've already lost 4 generations, 5 generations. We could not even exploit the socio-cultural dividend which Northeast offers. We were fully and totally embroiled in the security environment. Today, we have reached a stage where the environment is fully secure. So why are we not now taking that big leap and going towards acting East? So that is where we decided to have this inaugural seminar focused on unraveling haze. Today also, if you see the map of India, Northeast is very much part of India. There's no doubt on that. But there's a haze. There's somewhere in the minds of Indians. The Northeast finishes at Calcutta, Siliguri corridor and all. Whereas Northeast is further beyond. We thought of how to find out ways and means and how to suggest to the government of unraveling this haze for the Northeast. And all of you who are present in this auditorium, I leave this thought with you. How many of us know about the mineral potential of Northeast? How many of us even know that there's uranium reserves in Meghalaya? We talk only of oil in Digboi and all these kind of oil fields. That is how Northeast is associated with. We talk of Northeast, we leave it at tea cultivation. But Northeast is a rich resource of minerals. The best variety of coal is found in Meghalaya. That is the potential which we have. Are we unraveling this haze? Do we know what is the kind of resource in terms of solar power we have? We in Assam Rifles have commissioned 27 projects. The government has given sanctions of solar energy. But the concept or the thought which the nation has, that Northeast is basically a monsoon-prone, monsoon-hit region. So how can there be enough solar energy? You harness the solar energy and release the hydroelectric power for the rest of the Southeast Asia. And you see the dividends that will accrue thereafter. Have we even understood the tribal dynamics? To say there's so much of tribal dynamics, so many tribes, that's one part. But what all these tribes have to offer to you in terms of handlooms, in terms of their rich culture, in terms of the connectivity with the borders across. 12% of the tribal population of India resides in Northeast. And 1/4 of the Northeast population itself is tribal population. Could we harness this tribal dynamics? Could we utilize the cultural wealth of Northeast, leave aside taking it to Southeast Asia and acting east? We have not even brought it within the country. We have believed always in taking few students and children from Northeast to rest of the country to show them rest of the country. Why are we not waking up as a government, as Indians, to take rest of the country to Northeast? There's no point showing a person from Nagaland or Manipur how Bangalore looks, how Metro looks. The people in Metro should go and see Northeast, how Northeast looks, what Northeast has to offer to us. This is all the area which is haze. Half of the tourism circuit which visits Shillong, Meghalaya, Manipur, they don't even know. They will not even know the potential which Northeast has got. The country does not know the only and the sole floating reserves national park is in Manipur. This is the rarest of the rare variety which is found in Manipur. And we only believe in going to Northeast means Kaziranga. That is the kind of haze which we say. Today also, if you see the map of India, you ask anyone, have you been to Northeast? Yes, they would say, I've been to Northeast. And if I draw a line, this is the line which people normally say. Coming down from Tawang, I often say in all my talks, coming down from north, it goes to Guwahati and Shillong. By touching these two capital cities, you have not even touched the capitals of the 4 states. You are 1,000 kilometers this side of the actual border, which we are guarding as Assam Rifles. Leave aside knowing about Assam Rifles, you don't even know about the 4 border states. They're all ahead of this line. So that is the kind of haze which we need to come out of this haze. We need to ensure that the rest of the country at least is very clear about what Northeast is. This is the perceived Northeast, which I say. The actual Northeast is about 1,000 kilometers further away from this perceived Northeast. So if we have to act east, if we have to now think of going beyond this, we need to introspect. And what introspection? Are we in the right direction? Does it take the country 4 decades to first come out with a look east policy? To carve out a policy called look east, and are we adequately fast in moving in that direction? Thereafter, it takes another 7 to 8 years or 10 years to then say, we have looked enough, now let's act east. Are we speedier enough to defeat somebody else who is a competitor in the region? Are we speedier enough to ensure that people find acceptance for us rather than for anyone else? Are our projects speedier enough to be accepted by the rest of the Southeast Asian nations? This is the kind of thing which we need to find solutions for. That is the kind of introspection which we need to carry out. And objectives are known. If you see the objectives to counter China, but the way we do analysis, we need to do the analysis of aim. Similarly, here we need to do the analysis of objectives. How far can we counter China by what kind of policies? Can we forge socio-cultural, economic relations? Are we doing enough to develop India's Northeast? And who has posed these challenges? You see these challenges which are now flashed on the slide somewhere, you're not seeing on the main screen. The infrastructure deficit and poor economic integration of Northeast. Who is to blame? Country is to blame for poor infrastructure. Because exactly I come back to the same point. We never realized that there's a need for infrastructure development. The security scenario today, the country doesn't know that is the only border where there is no army now today. The border defense, the border guarding, the border management, all three roles, which on rest of the borders of the country are performed by three different agencies. The border defense is done by army. Army is deployed. Border guarding is by border guarding forces. And border management is by civil administration. Here you don't need army at all. That is the kind of peace which is prevailing on the borders. Otherwise, if you see, the insurgency is totally waned, isolated incidents. But rest of the country feels we can't go to Northeast because there's insurgency. There's full-fledged nightlife. There's a peaceful life. There's a social. The kind of ways which we need to clear out, and therefore we need to develop state capacities. Once we do that, then only see now. So India's strength, there's enough of strength in Northeast. There's enough. There are soft skills, IT, pharma. Each one of this I did not elaborate. The audience is wise enough, educated. You all know exactly what I'm wanting to hear. The resilient society of Northeast will absorb everything which we want to offer. And we will realize that once this haze is cleared, it is the Northeast which will change the dynamics for India. It is the Northeast which is going to contribute for us to emerge as regional powers in the first place and then to start dominating Indo-Pacific. So that is why we decided on this topic, and we wanted that post this discussion today, will we be able to contribute towards the government policies in helping them clearing out this haze. With this little background, I would now leave the podium for the subsequent proceedings of the seminar. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Today we have our chief guest, General M.M. Naravane, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, ADC, Chief of the Army Staff, gracing the seminar virtually from South Block. May I now request the Chief to kindly deliver the keynote address.
Lieutenant General Sukhdeep Sangwan, the Director General Assam Rifles, Major General B.K. Sharma, Director USI, other friends and colleagues seated in the audience, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to address this inaugural joint annual seminar being conducted by the Assam Rifles and the United Service Institution of India. I must compliment the Assam Rifles and the USI for signing this MOU, which will see both these organizations contributing towards the government's Act East policy through research, lectures, and seminars, focused largely on the Northeast and beyond. Considering that Act East has come to occupy a significant salience in India's foreign policy, today's seminar and the selected theme have much to offer. The impact of the pandemic on the ongoing security dynamics across our borders have brought about significant changes in the geostrategic construct. It is in this evolving environment that a review and renewed focus on India's Northeast is in order. I am therefore honored to deliver the keynote address this morning on evolving security challenges in the Northeast and the way forward. India's Northeast region is extraordinarily diverse and colorful. The 9 states that comprise the region, and in this I include Sikkim and West Bengal, share almost 98% of their borders with 5 countries. It is the center of gravity for sub-regional connectivity and thus remains the launch pad for Act East initiatives. Although endowed with natural resources, it is a laggard in terms of growth and development. Protracted insurgencies and legacy issues further accentuated after partition and inefficient integration with the rest of India account for much of what the region faces today. Growth and development are intricately linked to the security environment. Nowhere has this linkage been more profound than in the Northeast region. The regional security environment is characterized by Chinese belligerence in the Indo-Pacific, its hostility towards weaker nations, relentless drive to create regional dependencies through initiatives like the BRI. The resultant Sino-US rivalry has created regional imbalances and instability. The rising footprints of China in India's neighborhood and its attempts to unilaterally alter the status quo along our disputed borders have created an environment of confrontation and mutual distrust. Nepal, a traditional long-term partner which has witnessed heavy Chinese investment, is going through a difficult phase. While Bhutan has always been steadfast, we have seen an upswing in our relations with Bangladesh. India is celebrating Swarnim Vijay Varsh to commemorate its splendid victory over Pakistan in the 1971 War for Liberation of Bangladesh. The sight of the tri-service contingent from Bangladesh marching down Rajpath on Republic Day bodes well for our future relations. However, one of our most important neighbors, one that provides the land bridge to the burgeoning economies of Southeast Asia, is Myanmar, which itself is going through some turbulent times. The ongoing dynamics in these neighboring countries directly impacts the security environment in India's Northeast. A large number of initiatives are already underway to leverage military diplomacy, with our Eastern Command laying the springboard for fostering stronger bilateral relations. Regional and internal connectivity is acutely linked to security. It is central to unleashing the potential of the Northeast and balancing the influence of China. With failure to deliver on promises, delivery deficit has plagued our efforts at improving regional connectivity. The Kaladan multimodal transport project and the trilateral highway have both seen cost and time overruns. On the internal front also, infrastructure development has been marred by numerous challenges. Multiple agency involvement and varied source of funds, coupled with environmental factors, remain major stumbling blocks. There is therefore a need for an apex body to coordinate multi-agency efforts. But all is not bad. There has been encouraging improvement in the internal security situation. As you can see, the states of Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya and large parts of Assam are practically free from insurgency. Violence levels have also significantly gone down over the years. While relentless operations by the security forces and proactive government policies have laid the foundation, favorable external environment with Myanmar and Bangladesh has struck at the roots of the insurgent organization. A series of operations under Operation Sunrise with Myanmar Army have witnessed growing cooperation and synergy between the soldiers on ground with reasonable operational dividend. Realignment of the CICT strategy has been underway in the Northeast. The situation in most areas has progressed towards conflict resolution. Consequently, the Indian Army has also undertaken a transition from CI to integrated CI approach. Post-calibration with gradual disengagement from CICT operations has resulted in a greater focus towards the northern borders and the Indo-Myanmar border. The realigned CI strategy, which itself is a product of a study undertaken in Eastern Command, seeks to establish effective interstate links. Resultantly, an umbrella organization is proposed to be called the Northeast Integrated Security Council to galvanize the strategy, efforts, and resources amongst all stakeholders. I shall come back to this a little later. As part of these deliberations, based on the contemporary security situation, the entire Northeast region was divided into pockets of least, partial, and pockets of active resistance to roll out a phased disengagement plan of the Army from CI deployment. The red belt along the IMB, of course, requires a permanent Army and Assam Rifle grid for effective border management. This force calibration has already resulted in disengagement of 14 infantry battalions. 2 divisional headquarters, earlier part of the CI grid, are now solely focusing on their operational role along the northern border. This has been a significant achievement. The operational responsibility of these areas has now been taken over by the Assam Rifles. In fact, the Assam Rifles has always been an integral part of all our efforts. Since its very inception in 1835, it has been a key player in the Northeast for over 185 years, rightfully earning the sobriquet of Sentinels of the Northeast and Friends of the Northeast. Being the designated border guarding force for the Indo-Myanmar border, the Assam Rifles has already deployed 20 battalions in the border guarding role. The intention is to further increase the number of air battalions in this role to 29. A common thread that runs along the northeastern states is a lack of coordination amongst various agencies. The policy disconnect is further accentuated by the feeling that the affairs of the northeast region are being run from Delhi. Most of the CAPF and central agencies are headquartered at Delhi. National priorities, political compulsions of the states, and local aspirations are seldom aligned, creating dissonance in execution. Another distinctive factor that reinforces this feeling of alienation amongst the people of the Northeast is our dismissive, sometimes indifferent, and often paternalistic approach. You would often hear the phrase, need to integrate the Northeast with mainland India, and that the Northeast must align itself to the ways of the mainland, which is in itself flawed and contemptuous. And the DG Assam Rifle made a mention of this. Another everyday example is a newscaster or somebody else referring to the Northeast during a weather forecast usually dismisses the entire region with a cursory आज पूर्वोत्तर राज्यों में अधिकतम तापमान फलाना फलाना रहा. It's just a broad brush. We need to set the score right to unleash the tremendous potential of the Northeast. And for this, there is therefore the need to establish an organization that can synergize multi-agency coordination and optimize resource and effort. The Realign strategy for the Northeast proposes a robust and effective Northeast Integrated Security Council with the Minister of State for Home as the chairman at the apex level. The organization seeks to galvanize the efforts of all stakeholders, includes policymakers, as well as the authorities responsible to execute these policies. The Army and Assam Rifles, with its wide footprint across the region, is ideally suited to play the role of coordinator. Such an organization, if formed, will address operational and strategic issues and ensure coordinated multi-pronged response at the regional level. Towards the end, I would like to conclude by saying that for the region to transform itself into a land of opportunities and possibilities, all stakeholders will need to come together under an integrated framework to optimize interagency efforts. The increased allocation of 55,000 crore from 41,000 crore rupees in the recently announced union budget underscores the government's focus towards the region. Like the rest of the nation, the Northeast too needs to reap the benefits of a surge in indigenous capability in line with the clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat given by our Honorable Prime Minister. Lastly, I would like to compliment the Director General Assam Rifles for having collaborated with the USI in organizing this event and providing a sound platform to various experts from the fields of defense, journalism, security, and academia to come together and share their views on this extremely important topic. I look forward to some fruitful deliberations and enlightening discussions. Thank you very much, and Jai.
Thank you, sir, for setting the ball rolling on today's proceedings. May I now invite Director General Assam Rifles and Director USI of India with his team for release of the USI Journal to commemorate their 150th anniversary.
Thank you, Colonel Tamang, and a good morning to everyone. For those who may not know me, I'm Lieutenant General Ghanshyam Singh Katoj, and I head the editorial team at the USI of India. At the outset, I thank the Chief of the Army Staff for having agreed to our request to release the USI Journal commemorating our 150th year. I also thank the DG Assam Rifles for providing us an opportunity to release the journal during today's event. To celebrate the 150th anniversary of the USI of India, we have put together a special issue that contains articles which retrace the birth and evolution of the USI and its aspirations for the future. This issue that we will be releasing has 21 articles. The first article is by our director, General B.K. Sharma. which is about the future of the USI, his vision, and how we hope to transform it with the changing times. The next 9 articles are closely related to the past and present of the USI by the people who have been very closely associated with it over the years. Then there are 11 articles on a host of interesting subjects like Indian military customs, traditions, medals, strategic culture, maritime outlook, air power, etc. The journal also carries the list of the Mcgregor Medal and the USI essay competition awardees. I may also add here that our first essay competition awardee in 1872 was then Lieutenant Colonel and later Field Marshal F.S. Roberts. And the essay that he had written was on the subject, on the equipment of a field force for field service. The journal also has the names right at the end of the winners for the year 2020. And these were Commander Manish Chaudhary of the Indian Navy and Lieutenant Colonel C.S. Chahar of the Army. I am sanguine that in the later years, they will do equally well in their careers like Field Marshal Roberts. The USI, because of its 77 years of existence before independence and 73 years after independence, has been a valuable link for the historical connect between the military of pre-independence and post-independent India. In the transitory period of 1948, for 1 year, it existed as the United Service Institution of India and Pakistan. And we also had 4 journals which had this written on the top until 1949, when the Pakistani government wanted to get out of this particular linkage. And for this reason, the articles by Professor Edward Haynes, an eminent authority on phalaeristics, which is the study of medals and decorations, on the evolution of Indian orders, decorations, and medals during the era of the USI 1817-2020, and articles by Mr. Pip Dodd, who is the curator of the British Military Museum, and Brigadier J.C.W. Massajoewski, who is the director of that particular museum, on the Indian Army Memorial Room and Indian Army Museum at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, are especially valuable. And of course, I must thank the head of our Center for Historical Research, Coordinator China, who's sitting here, for being in touch with these people and along with other people, having curated all the articles which we have in this particular issue of our journal. Then we have articles dealing with the General Charles Metcalfe Mcgregor, who was the founder of the USI, and one of his legacies, that is the Mcgregor Medal, which I might add for the audience here, is the only Indian medal not awarded by or on behalf of the president, which can be worn on uniform, and it is worn around the neck. It is awarded for outstanding military recce or feats of adventure involving endurance. And I must add here that the Assam Rifles is perhaps one of the few places where there's scope for such activities to be conducted. Then there are articles by and about people who are part of the history of the USA. Among them, I would particularly like to mention Major General Ian Cardozo, who has been associated with the USI for 50 years, Major General Gera for 27 years, Colonel V.K. Singh for 25 years, as well as Lieutenant Generals Satish Nambiar and P.K. Singh, who between them steered the USI as directors for 26 years. The 2 directors before them, Colonel Pyaralal and Major General Samir Sinha, whose biographical articles are penned by General Gera and by General Samir Sinha's son, Brigadier Deepak Sinha, have also, they figure in the journal, and these people have been legends at the USI. And of course, I must not miss out Commander Cherian of the Indian Navy, who headed the USI for the first 8 years of its existence, but unfortunately, we could not get an article concerning him, and I hope that we will be able to unravel some of his past in the future, sometime in the future. With these words, may I now request the Chief of the Army Staff, General M.M. Naravane, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, ADC, to release the USI Journal commemorating our 150 years. Where?
Not holding any book. Book really never. Mic is on.